Yeah, no more burnout. Welcome to leverage. Yeah, you've been grinding all night, still the same pay, trading hours for money every single day. But there's a better way, you don't have to struggle. Step into the future, systems over hustle. From pressure to power, from stress to flow. Build it once, let the system grow. AI working while you rest, no cap. Welcome to the leverage map.
You're not the worker anymore. You're the architect for sure. Systems over hustle, we multiply. Turn one move into a lifetime supply. AI on your side, no limits, no ceiling. We build it once, let the system keep yielding. Systems over hustle, step into more. From the grind to a scalable core. We don't chase, we design the flow. AI Leverage Academy, now you know.
Agents working like a digital team, 24/7, building your dream. Content, clients, systems aligned. You're no longer stuck in the time for money bind. Entrepreneurs, yeah, we scale with ease. Professionals charge for results, not fees. Action takers, yeah, this is your lane. We don't just learn, we build and sustain.
Not for the lazy, not for the quick, not for those chasing a magic trick. This is for builders ready to rise, turn their knowledge into enterprise. Systems over hustle, say it loud. We're the builders, we stand out. More cloud, from Nigeria to the world, we grow. AI Leverage Academy, let's go. Systems over hustle, step into more. From the grind to a scalable core. We don't chase, we design the flow. AI Leverage Academy, now you know. Systems over hustle, yeah. Systems over hustle. Systems over hustle. Systems over hustle.
Yeah, no more burnout. Welcome to leverage. Yeah, you've been grinding all night, still the same pay, trading hours for money every single day. But there's a better way, you don't have to struggle. Step into the future, systems over hustle. From pressure to power, from stress to flow. Build it once, let the system grow. AI working while you rest, no cap. Welcome to the leverage map.
You're not the worker anymore. You're the architect for sure. Systems over hustle, we multiply. Turn one move into a lifetime supply. AI on your side, no limits, no ceiling. We build it once, let the system keep yielding. Systems over hustle, step into more. From the grind to a scalable core. We don't chase, we design the flow. AI Leverage Academy, now you know.
Agents working like a digital team, 24/7, building your dream. Content, clients, systems aligned. You're no longer stuck in the time for money bind. Entrepreneurs, yeah, we scale with ease. Professionals charge for results, not fees. Action takers, yeah, this is your lane. We don't just learn, we build and sustain.
Not for the lazy, not for the quick, not for those chasing a magic trick. This is for builders ready to rise, turn their knowledge into enterprise. Systems over hustle, say it loud. We're the builders, we stand out. More proud, from Nigeria to the world, we grow. Leverage Academy, let's go. Systems over hustle, step into more. From the grind to a scalable core. We don't chase, we design the flow. We are Leverage Academy, now you know. Systems over hustle, yeah. Systems over hustle. Systems over hustle. Systems over hustle.
All right. How is everyone doing? How is everybody doing? Can you all hear me? Can you all welcome every one of you to the session of tonight, and we will be getting kick-started. We will be getting kick-started. Uh, so in about 5 minutes, we would get started. So if there's anyone that needs to be here and they are not here, do well to inform them that we have already started. We have already started, and we'll be doing really shortly in the next 5 minutes. But before then, just introduce yourself, tell us where you're joining in from, and we would love to hear from you. Okay, so I welcome everyone. I can see. All right. I am doing great. Obedience. Thank you for asking. Amarachuku. Yes, the song is powerful. And thank you, Amarachuku, for creating that amazing AI song for us. Uh, Good evening from the Garden City. Obedience, you are welcome. Queen, you are welcome. I welcome every one of us to the session tonight, and it's going to be amazing as usual. It is going to be amazing. Joining from Nasarawa, joining from Kwara, joining from Port Harcourt, and different places around. So I just want to welcome us once again. And the last session we had, it was amazing. I got a lot of very good feedback from that session, and I don't just want us to engage in this session. The Leverage Academy is a place where we want to be able to prepare you for what is already happening. So it's that environment where you come in, and irrespective of all the noise that you hear around with respect to artificial intelligence, we want to be able to direct you on the paths to make things profitable, absolutely profitable for you as an individual. Because it is no longer news that a lot is happening on that space. But my concern is, as I keep observing the trends of things, I see a lot of people not maximizing the potentials of what artificial intelligence has to offer. And that's why I'm creating this awareness, because I want you to benefit properly from this. Okay. I want you to benefit properly from this. So this evening, we would be jumping right on it. And I welcome every one of you to the session tonight. And I want you to have your notes ready. I want you to engage in the chats. If you have any questions, you can ask your questions. I'll be looking at the chats as we keep having these conversations. And I believe that we would absolutely get the best. So tonight we're considering a very, very important topic, which I titled The AI Quiet Revolution. What is happening that most people have not noticed yet? The AI Quiet Revolution. What is happening that most people have not noticed yet? Okay. Last time we talked about built by one, powered by many, and we talked about many interesting things in that conversation. And historically, I started giving us the different ages that we have been in time past and what is currently happening now. We have moved past the industrial age. We are at an age that is the information age, and everything about the dynamics of that age is absolutely different. Okay, everything about the dynamics of that age is absolutely different. But today we'll be considering something else that most people are not really paying attention to: the AI quiet revolution. And why do I have to title this the AI Quiet Revolution? It is because there is a lot of noise that is happening when it has to do with artificial intelligence. There is a whole lot of noise. And most times the noise end up being very, very distracting. There is just a whole lot of things. You go on social media, you listen to the news, you see a lot of information about AI, you see a lot of tools coming out. And I've had communication with many people that tell me I'm not even able to keep up. It's becoming very overwhelming. I'm not even able to keep up with what is currently happening, and it just becomes absolutely confusing for them. And in times like this, it becomes very, very important to avoid what I call legitimate distractions. It becomes very important to avoid what I call legitimate distractions. And what are legitimate distractions? Legitimate distractions are distractions that happen from real things of value, something that has the capacity to give you value, but then it ends up being what? A distraction to you, because you are overwhelmed, you are absorbed in the information, and that information, instead of it to lead to transformation, it overwhelms you as an individual. So in the midst of what is happening with artificial intelligence, it becomes very important for us to start paying attention to what is actually moving the needle. Okay, history does not announce its turning points. The most important shifts always arrive in silence. The most important shifts, they always what? They always arrive in silence. You know, why other people are making so much noise about what is going on? There are categories of individual that are already positioning themselves to absolutely benefit from what is actually going on. There are people that are already positioning themselves towards to absolutely benefit from what is going on. So as we go through this session, there are certain things that I would be unveiling to us. And these are things that will begin to impact the way that we think. If you have joined the past session, you would always hear me talking about how you think in times like this. Artificial intelligence is not going to replace your thinking ability. It will rather amplify your thought process. So if you are in that place where you are thinking correctly, you are already positioning yourself with the advantage that artificial intelligence is already providing. You're already positioning yourself. So I want you to detach yourself from the noise. I want you to detach yourself from the many things that are already happening out there that is not helping you, but rather overwhelming you. And I want you to start paying attention to what is most important in this time. What is most important? All right. Now, I'm going to talk to us about 6 things that are currently happening that most people have not yet noticed. I'm going to talk to us about 6 things that are currently happening that most people have not noticed. Now, the first one is the tools beneath your fingers have changed. Yeah, I know it sounds very basic. I know it sounds very direct, but the tools beneath your fingers have changed. And when I talk about the tools, I'm not just talking about tools that has to do with artificial intelligence. I'm talking about different tools that we are familiar with. Tools like even Zoom, tools like even Gmail, even Microsoft Word, even Excel, even Notion. These tools that were being known for specific things, they have changed currently. Have you noticed that almost every tool that you use, they are now integrating some form of artificial intelligence? Every single tools that you use, they are now integrating some form of artificial intelligence. Now, why do you have to pay attention to that? You have to pay attention to that because, one, it tells you that beyond the noise, this is still legitimate, but it is not enough for it to be legitimate. It is enough for you to pay attention to how this becomes an advantage in what you are doing. If certain platforms that have no business initially with artificial intelligence, they are now becoming AI natives. They are now integrating, a lot of AI tools in everything that they do. Then it becomes something that is important for you to understand. It becomes something that is important for you to understand. Let's take, for instance, a tool like Canva. A tool like Canva is known to use to design, template-based graphics, right? So, but now you now have a lot of AI incorporations. You have you can, I use Canva from time to time. You can have like the AI magic background remover. You can even have like AI create template for you by just even putting a prompt within Canva. All right. But originally it wasn't like that. But because they have seen the various opportunities that are being integrated within artificial intelligence, they are beginning to align with it. So don't let anyone tell you that, this is just all about the hype. Yes, there is a hype around artificial intelligence, but in the midst of the hype, there are people that are quietly doing things that is helping them to become better, that is increasing their revenue. Do you know how much the revenue of Canva increased by just adding those AI integrations? So why do I pay attention to these things? Because these are the silent things that matters. If every company or most companies, even companies that have nothing to do with AI, they are finding a way to integrate something that has to do with AI, that means artificial intelligence has come to stay. And if as a result of doing that, it is already transforming their revenue, it is already transforming how much they earn, it is already skyrocketing, how much they earn and making things easier for their user, then it is something that is worth paying attention to. It is something that is worth paying attention to. Even Zoom, we use Zoom a lot of times, for meetings and so on. But now Zoom now have like an AI transcriber that as you're having those meetings, it automatically transcribes your meetings for you. Just a little change that has to do with artificial intelligence, and it summarizes it for you. At the end of your meeting, it summarizes it. So, most times if you're transcribing things and there are filler words like the different things like that, that makes the flow of what you're doing not very accurate. But what Zoom does is that it has a way of summarizing it, and it has a way of, the AI tool already understands the possible words that you could use in those fillers or to give more structure to what you're saying, and then it summarizes it properly for you. And a lot of companies, they are integrating that. It is making the end users, it is making them happy. And because it's making them happy, they are leveraging on that. Even Microsoft Excel. I think recently they had certain forms of integration where you just, describe in plain English, the what you want to do, and the formula appears for you. If you use Microsoft Word, you see that as well. You see the Microsoft Word, 365 Copilot. It's an AI tool. It's an AI agent. So you have to pay attention to the fact that, the tools that are beneath your fingers, they have already changed. Many of you already know this, but you don't know the implication of this. So if different industries, if different individuals, different business owners, they are investing in this area, it becomes very clear that there is a revolution that is happening. There is a quiet revolution that is what's happening. You wake up tomorrow, you might see a new update in some of those tools. They have added one feature or the other, and 90% of their features this recent times are artificial intelligence inclined. So the biggest mistake that anyone is going to make in times like this is to keep thinking previously the way that you have been thinking, because things are absolutely changing. So if big companies are doing this, What does that mean for you as a business owner or as an intending business owner? It doesn't matter what area of industry that you are, you have to start thinking from a place of value how to be able to incorporate artificial intelligence. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen as the years keep going. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Now, what's going to happen is, last year, because I pay attention to a lot of things, last year, or I think early last year, you find out that a lot of people revote a lot when they notice that certain write-ups are artificial intelligence, or, certain designs are artificial intelligence generated with artificial intelligence. But you find out that quietly, that level of attack is now reducing. We are now moving from a point of revoting to a point of accepting. Why did they revote last year? They revote last year because it was new. It was technically new. But over time, due to the place of repetition, when you keep repeating something over and over, you begin to program the minds of people to start thinking in that direction. So over the years, what's going to happen is people will come to that place to start even accepting the things that they didn't accept in time past. It's already happening. One of the biggest challenge that AI consulting firms in the US they faced at the initial time, let's say 2024, was that when they do certain things, their clients don't want to know that these things were generated using artificial intelligence tools because there was not enough trust when it comes to artificial intelligence tools. But now industries are making it mandatory for their employees to use what? Artificial intelligence tools. So they are moving from a place of kicking against these things, and they are moving to that place of acceptance. And in the future is going to be much more. Do you know why it is that way? Because of certain principles that embodies the value that artificial intelligence creates. Number one is speed. Number two is from a place of quality, there is a whole lot of improvement in many of these models. There's a whole lot of improvement in many of those models. So in terms of quality, there is absolute improvement, and people are beginning to align with that. In terms of efficiency, there is so much efficiency and effectiveness for both industries, for both end users, and any person that is engaging with these artificial intelligence tools. And because these principles, favors business owners, entrepreneurs, they are going to make it work. They are going to adopt it. So why am I emphasizing all of this? I'm emphasizing all of this so that every one of us in this community, we would start being very, very intentional. Very, very intentional. This is not a time to become clueless. This is not a time to become, overwhelmed. No, this is rather a time for you to incline to a place of focus. You want to be able to focus. What do I need to learn? What do I need to know? What do I need to understand when it has to do with those tools? Because the reality is, this is cutting across every sector. This is cutting across every industry. This is cutting across different dimensions, whether it has to do with the educational sector, whether it has to do with government, whether it has to do with technology, whether it has to do with, even being an entrepreneur or whatever you are. This is cutting across different areas. And because it's cutting across different areas, it becomes very, very important that it doesn't matter the industry you want to focus on. It doesn't matter what you want to be able to do. You want to include that in whatever you're doing. And when I talk about including that, I'm not saying including it from a consumer standpoint. We are going to get to that. Because 98% of people, they are consumers when it has to do with artificial intelligence. They are consumers. They're excited about, the new release. So one of the goals that I have today is to be able to move you from that place of being just a consumer to someone that becomes a creative, to someone that becomes an innovator. Because when that happens, that is what is going to make the absolute difference. When that happens, that is going to what? That is going to make the absolute difference for you. So the first thing out of the 6, which I just mentioned, is that the tools beneath your fingers, they have changed. And because they have changed, you have to understand the mindset behind why they have changed, because that can be a game changer for you as an individual, for whatever you are building, for whatever you are thinking about building. Okay, so that is the first part. The second part is that information has stopped being valuable. I know that's a bold statement to say. Information has stopped being valuable. Rather, judgment has become everything. There's once a time in life where information was very scarce. For you to, get informed about certain things, you have to pay for books, you have to pay for consultants, you have to pay for research reports and many other things. Information was a big deal. But today, a 14-year-old child can, step into some of these tools and create certain research that will profit a Fortune 500 company and give them up to $500,000. A 14-year-old child can actually do that with the right sense of judgment. So it's not about information now. In fact, we have so much information that it is even becoming exhausting. I would even say that information is becoming a distraction, is becoming a demotivation to your progress. Why? Because have you tried to search something within ChatGPT? I was talking to a friend and she was telling me, she said, I hardly use ChatGPT. I prefer to use Perplexity. The reason is, if I just ask ChatGPT a very simple question, yes, I know you can actually tell it to give you, a very short line and all of that. But typically, if you ask ChatGPT a question, it's going to give you almost 2 pages of information, good information. But sometimes it is actually exhausting. So she had to pivot from even using ChatGPT and go to Perplexity, especially for research-based, things. Now, why am I giving that example? It is because information is in excess. So information is not enough for your transformation. You need a good sense of judgment. What is a good sense of judgment? A good sense of judgment is your ability to be able to ask the right question, the ability to know what to do with the answers that you get, the ability for you to be able to translate whatever insights that you have into action. That is what is absolutely missing now. That is what is absolutely missing now. If it is information, there is so much information. But now, you have to work with the right judgment. You have to work with the right judgment. So just like I say, in working with the right judgment, you need to ask the right question. And if some of you are asking the right question from the very first thing that I just talked about, you would have even inclined yourself to certain right questions. Why is everybody now becoming AI natives? Why are they now, integrating AI solutions into their businesses, into whatever they are doing, no matter the kind of industries that they are serving? Why are they seeing that to be relevant? That is the right questions. That is one of the right questions to ask. And it's not enough to just ask that question. You have to run with the answer. And you know what happens when you begin to train yourself from that place? You find out that in the midst of being saturated with so much information that can be overwhelming, the power of focus becomes your advantage. Because focus is going to take you, is going to sieve out the many noise. And focus comes by asking the right questions. It's going to take you through that pool of, so much noise, and it's going to align you to what is most important. It's going to align you to what is most important. I've met a lot of people in this season, and one of the biggest problems that they have when I mentor people and have one-on-one meetings with them, one of the problems that they have is that because of the prevalent information that is everywhere, they don't know what to do. They are absolutely confused. Do I do this? Do I not do this? So the power of focus becomes your advantage, and focus comes by narrowing that noise. So when you begin to use artificial intelligence from that place of focus, you begin to have what? You begin to have the right answer. If I go to ChatGPT and I'm asking it, why is it that everybody is, bringing artificial intelligence into what they are doing, and how does this translate to what I'm doing? It's going to give you the right answer because you have the right thinking. So number two, information has stopped being valuable. Judgment has become everything. The third thing that I want to mention is the cost of professional output has collapsed. The costs of professional output has collapsed. The cost of looking professional, the cost of sounding professional, the cost of operating professionally, it has collapsed. 5 years ago, to look professional, you need like a designer. That's going to cost you a lot of money. You need a copywriter, you need a video editor, you need a web developer. And all of these things, they are absolutely costly. But today, you don't need much of that. And as the year keep on increasing, or as the year keep on going, you will find out that these things become more and more prevalent when it has to do with, some of these roles. And that's why I'm going to say something that is really bold. If you are still depending on what you used to do in the past, maybe you're a graphic designer, maybe you're a web developer and all those things, you have to begin to understand that the game is absolutely changing for those terrains. And because the game is absolutely changing, it is becoming much more difficult for people that are within those terrains. Because the demand is actually reducing. The demand is what? The demand is actually reducing. I talked to us some time ago about, the aspect of the being a solopreneur and all of that, and how, the rising demand of solopreneur, not demand, like the how do I put it? There's a lot of solopreneurs that are emerging, and the amount of revenue that they are pulling is a lot of money. What was impossible in the last 5 years, what was absolutely capital intensive, is now very, very easy. It's now very, very easy. So the cost of professional output, it has collapsed. If you want to build a company now, it depends on the type of company you want to build. It's not going to be expensive the way it was 4 years ago. It's not going to be expensive the way it was 4 years ago. So what does that tell you? As a business owner, or as an intending business owner, that's an advantage for you. That's an advantage for you. For people that are in that domain, you have to begin to redefine what it means for you to be a creative. You have to begin to redefine it to fit into what is happening recently. If you're a graphic designer or a web developer, you have to start thinking differently now. You have to start using artificial intelligence wisely. If before it used to take you 2 weeks to, create a website, you have to anchor on the advantage of speed to see if you can be able to create, website in 2 days. So what's that going to help? What's that going to make you to do? You will channel your focus on what are the AI tools that can be able to give me speed and quality. And that becomes your investigation. So beyond all the noise, you are focusing on what is going to give you that advantage, because there is a lot that is already happening in your domain that can kick you out of business quickly. There's a lot that is happening within that domain that will kick you out. So if you don't do it in partnership with artificial intelligence in a way that it is very, very creative, then you're going to be out of business soon. You have to start preparing for these things. If you're a graphic design, recently, graphic designers, they were saying things like, AI generated images, they cannot be really good. They cannot be really good. Have you seen the recent, is it the GPT 2.0 images? Have you seen how beautiful they are? And it's even going to get better very soon. So if you're not thinking about ways to creatively change the narrative for your business, then you'll be kicked out. And the truth is, there are certain areas that you just have to tell yourself the truth, that this is not enough. This is not enough. It's not enough for me to say now that I am only a graphic designer. It's not enough. It's not enough. So you need to start thinking of how to tie things together. And what is going to give you that speed is artificial intelligence. So if you're still designing the old way that takes you 4 hours or 5 hours to do a design, you can't compete in the current market. You can't. You'll be left out. So you need to understand these things. We're in an era and season where you have the capacity to do more in less time. Many people don't recognize how powerful that advantage is when it has to do with business. You can take that to become your leverage. You can take that to become your leverage. So the cost of professional output, it has collapsed. And number 4 is just tying into what I was saying. Speed of response is the cheapest competitive advantage. Speed of response is the cheapest competitive advantage. Now, there's a research from Harvard Business School, and the review shows that businesses that respond to leads within 5 minutes, they are 9 times more likely to convert than businesses responding after 30 minutes. And what is going to help you respond in 5 minutes as opposed to 30 minutes? Is speed. And what will give you that speed? AI systems and structures. AI systems and structures. So speed of response is your cheapest competitive advantage. It used to get very frustrating when I text a business or when I call a business and nobody answers. And that's one of the things that made me to, recently this year, I started a consulting firm in the US called the Antenna Consulting. And I started this, and it was very easy to start talking to clients. Because many of the AI solutions that Antenna Consulting is presenting to them, they are things that they already knew that these things are for my advantage. These things are for my advantage. So it becomes very important for you to understand that the speed of response is the cheapest competitive advantage. Many people are not paying attention to that. These are the quiet things that makes people to choose how they are going to engage with artificial intelligence. Because if you're not thinking in that direction, you will be absorbed with the noise. What kind of solutions can I be able to create with artificial intelligence that will be relevant? That should be your thinking process. That should be your thinking process. That should be what determines what you need to learn, what you need to unlearn, what you need to relearn. So speed of response is the cheapest competitive advantage. The next thing I want to talk about is the headcount to revenue ratio has been permanently broken. And very big organizations, they recognize this. They know this. They know how to play that game very, very well. The headcount to revenue ratio has been permanently broken. Why is it that corporate organizations like Amazon and these other big companies, they keep on downsizing, they keep on laying off people, no matter how talented those people are? Is because they understand that the headcount to revenue ratio has been permanently broken. We don't need so many people any longer. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Even though you're super smart, even though you're super intelligent, if you're still doing things the old way, they don't need you anymore. Over the last century, there's always been like a linear relationship between, how many people you employ and how much revenue you could generate. So that means to make 10 times more, you needed what? 10 times more people. For you to be able to make more, you need more people. But there's a lot of companies that have broken that. There's this company called Midjourney. It's an AI company. They generate over $200 million annual revenue with just 11 people. That was absolutely impossible in the last 5-6 years. A company pulling that kind of weight, almost impossible. Not even almost impossible, absolutely impossible. Absolutely impossible. So the straight line between what effort and output has been broken. The straight line between head count and revenue, it has also been broken. And this affects how you're drawing your business plan. When you're drawing your business plan on paper, are you still thinking in the old way that for you to be able to scale, you need more and more? No, that's not what is happening currently. The old thinking is what has, the old thinking is what has kept people in perpetual bondage. For some of you here, you're not starting that idea that you have because you think that you're not capable of bringing it to life. But there are many tools that will help you do that. By next week, I'm going to talk about something very important. I'm going to analyze different business and tell you like AI systems and tools that you can be able to use, the costs, the expenses, and then the reward, the potential reward that you could get. I'm gonna detail that information to us by next week, if we're going to be connecting next week. So we have to come to that realization that that straight line is broken. And it's normal for people to keep thinking the way they have been thinking in the past and hoping to get, certain kinds of results. I was talking to a business owner, and he was telling me something. He said, I just discovered that suddenly the approach that we were using 2 years or 3 years ago that was working is no longer working. Our numbers are no longer doing very well. And there's just one question I have to ask him. Have you started thinking of adopting what is currently happening? Because if you're not thinking of adopting it, it's going to impact whatever outputs that you're seeing and whatever results that you're seeing. So that's number 5. And then finally, number 6 is a new category of wealth builders are emerging, and almost nobody have named them. A new what? A new category of wealth builders. I'm telling us this because I'm very passionate about everyone that knows me. They know that I'm very passionate about people actually making progress. And one of the things that really upsets me is when I see, people that have the potential to do certain things, just because of they are not informed properly, they are committing their efforts to the wrong things. And because of that, they labor without seeing any results. At the heart of what I'm doing in the leverage circle is to begin to reprogram the minds of people. Because this is something that is absolutely working for me. The things that I've been able to do just this year, I kid you not, the things I've been able to do just this year are things that if it were to be 3-4 years ago, it would have taken me at least 2 to 3 years to be able to accomplish some of those things. And this year is just We're just in the 4th month of the 5th month. So someone is asking for number 5. Number 5 is the headcount to revenue ratio has been permanently broken. The linear relationship, between headcount and revenue, that I need more people to be able to grow my revenue, it has permanently been broken. And then the last one is a new category of wealth builders. They are emerging and they are quiet. They are observers. They are not spectators, but they observe. They have a good sense of judgment. They look through the noise. They see the gaps. And in the midst of those gaps, they perceive the opportunity to latch into. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. And the name of those people, they are the architects of compound systems. You hear me talk about systems a lot. It's a lifesaver. You hear me talk about structure. You hear me talk about automation. These things have been in time past, but artificial intelligence, it has amplified it. It has amplified it. So these people are individuals. It could either be an individual or a small team of people that are currently using AI infrastructure, to operate at a scale that previously required institutional resources. Previously, you need like institutional resources to be able to operate at that scale, to be able to operate in that domain. But recently, it is no longer that way. It is no longer that way. So we have to start being what? We have to start being very intentional. These people that I'm talking about, in the last 5 years, they did not exist. In the last 5 years, it wouldn't have been possible for them to, do some of the things that they were doing. But because of how they have been enabled, it becomes what? It becomes very, very easy. And that's why one of the things, or one of the disadvantage of times like this, is to detach yourself from where you can be able to get real value beyond the noise that artificial intelligence is providing. That's one of the mistakes that you're going to make as an individual. Because if you're taking the right steps, 6 months can be able to save you what 6 years will not give you. If you're in the right environment, if you have access to the right information, if you have access to the right things to pay attention to, 6 months is enough to save you a lot of things that even in the next 6 years, you wouldn't be able to achieve. So, what should we be doing in times like this? I want to tell us something. We still have a lot to cover. We still have a lot to cover. But I'm going to tell us something about the psychology of what is currently happening now. The psychology. And that is the psychology that is going to make a lot of people to miss out of what is happening. The psychology. The psychology of what is happening is many industries, when they do certain things, they don't do it to your own advantage. They first consider themselves. They first what? They first consider themselves. So for every new release that you see out there, probably OpenAI comes out tomorrow and there is a new release. The first thing that comes in the mind of anybody, probably you see like the ChatGPT, 2.0 image generator that is very, very good now. The first thing that comes to the mind of people is, how do I do that? How can I be able to generate image that looks like that? Both people that are graphic designers, both people that are not graphic designers, those people, both people that have business with that, both people that don't have business with that. So what you end up doing is that question reveals what many of those companies they want you to do. They want you to be reactive. They want you what? They want you to be reactive. And when you are reactive, you are being kept in the zone of just being a spectator. You're a consumer of what is happening. You generate an image and it looks good. And mind you, the more your brain is involved in many of those cat race, you're here tomorrow, you hear, oh, these ones, they have released, some kind of video, you jump into it, you're doing it. You're not asking the right questions. You're not asking the right questions. You're working with dopamine, that hormone in our body that gets us excited. It gets us excited. And when you are doing that, you are actually feeding the interests of the organizations that created these things. They know. Many of these guys that created, even Mark Zuckerberg that did Facebook and all of that, many of them, they don't even use these things. Or if they use it, they use it what? They use it intelligently. But sometimes these things are built to keep people what? Perpetually as consumers. But these things can also be an advantage to you. But because of that dopamine, we are not paying attention to how it can actually be an advantage. So we fit in consistently in the place of being a consumer. In the place of what? Being what? A spectator. Have you ever wondered why AI generally gets to hallucinate? Have you ever wondered that? When I say hallucination, there's nothing that you ask AI that it will tell you I don't know. It will definitely give you an answer. The answer will sound good, but the answer most times they are not, sometimes they are not right. It has been designed in such a way to make you happy. It has been designed what? To make you happy. So it gives you responses that is going to get you excited. And that's what they want you to focus on. But you need to come to that place to move beyond that and begin to understand that these tools can actually be leveraged. So I'm not saying don't engage in, try to explore different things. I like to explore, but I explore with not just information. I explore with a sense of judgment. I explore asking the right question. What is this going to solve? What problem is this going to solve for me? How am I going to be able to use this to build something that is going to help me? How am I going to be able to use this, to help my business to grow? Is it going to be different from what I've been doing in time past? And if I ask some of those questions that that are within the checklist of things, I begin to tell myself, this is not an area to focus in, at least yet, because it's not important. So beyond just being so excited about different things and you're jumping into it, you find out that a lot of people have even told me that I became much more busy at this time, and it looks as if that I'm doing so much and I'm not seeing any results. It is because your object of focus is not linear. Your object of focus is scattered. And when it is that way, you cannot be able to what? You cannot be able to benefit properly. So these companies, they want you to be entertained by the tools. They don't want you to start building with it. Because the more you engage with it, the more you're excited. So what is the wrong question versus the right question? Now, when you see an impressive AI output, the spectator is designed to make you ask, how did they do it? And that question is a consumer question. The right question is, how does this transform what I do? How does this take me to the next level? How do I integrate this into the architecture of my life and work? That is the right question to ask. That is the right question to ask. So I'm going to talk to us about 3 categories of individuals in this season. I call them the imitators, the inventors, and the innovators. The imitators, the inventors, and the innovators. And every one of you hearing the sound of my voice, you fall under one of these categories. And many people fall under the first one, which are the imitators. They are watching what is happening. They are copying what they see. You know, they generate image because they saw someone else generating an image and they post it on their status. It's not bad, but that is you wasting time out there. They spend 4 hours to, you know, do a lot of video things, but they don't have a direction of how this is going to change my life. Is AI going to change the life of video creators? Yes, it's going to change the life of video creators. But it is those that are thinking in that direction. And that's why many tools that you use for your video editing, whether CapCut, whether InShot, whether, you know, all of them, they are now integrating what AI technologies within them. But if you spend 4 hours to be able to create a video with AI, and you have not yet gotten a direction of how that is going to help you with what you're doing, you just wasted time. You just wasted time. So the spectators, or the imitators, you know, they use these things because it is trending. It is what everybody is doing. It is what everybody, it is what they see everybody do. So they just imitate. And there is no strategic thinking that anchors why they do what they do. In this season, your why has to be very strong, because if your why is not very strong, you're going to be distracted with many things. And at the end of 6 months, you will find out that you've been doing so many things and you end up achieving absolutely nothing. You're not moving the needle. You're not making any progress. So you need to have a very strong why. Why am I doing what I do? I have a lot of paid AI tool. Before I pay for a tool, I begin to ask myself, how can this tool make me profitable? How can this tool help me with what I'm doing? What are the capacity? What are the capabilities of this tool? And what does that mean when it has to do with the principles of business, which is speed, quality, and efficiency? If it doesn't check that list, it doesn't matter how attractive it looks like. It doesn't matter how many people have talked about it. I don't care about it, at least yet. So every tool that I have as my tool stack that I'm paying for, they are absolutely giving me back what is more than what I'm actually paying for. And even if they are not doing it immediately, I have been able to strategically see that in the coming future, they are going to absolutely do that. So that should be the thinking. Because imitation can feel like progress because it produces motion. But motion is not actually progress. And many people find themselves in the place of confusing the two. Because I'm having movement doesn't mean that I'm making progress. Because I'm busy, because I'm activity conscious, does not mean that I am transforming my revenue. So, and this is hard for many people. And you know why it's hard for many people? Because there have been this, pre-program within us that you have to be busy. You have to put a lot of effort to see results. So many people, their thought process is effort driven. Effort driven. And because it is effort driven, they are not seeing any results, but they are used to efforts. Because if they are not busy, something within them tells them that they are less than themselves. So the imitators, they are the largest population. They are the largest population. A lot of people fall into these categories, imitators. And then number two, we have the inventors. We have the inventors. The inventors are actually people that want to they want to create something new. They want to create something from the beginning. It is very good. I have no problems with that. I have no problems with that. They want to build things new. But can I tell you something? And these are, people that are very, very sometimes technical, they just want to do a lot of things. But can I tell you something? If you know that it's going to take you a lot of time to invent, there is a lot of tools that are available that you can leverage on to innovate and not necessarily invent. I want us to know the difference between the two of them. There's a lot out there that would give you that leverage. That leverage to what? To innovate and not events. So, you don't want to find yourself among, a lot of people these days. I see it on social media sometimes, people building new applications, software as a service. It's a good thing. It actually solves a lot of problems. But then you have to understand that within the season, many of those things are already out there, and you have to do it in a way that it absolutely stands out. That market is already saturated. And then it is also capital intensive in some ways if you want to do it very well. I'm not saying don't do it. But if you want to build a house, you have to know what it's going to cost you. Because if you do it from a place of mediocrity, I've seen people build an app and nobody cares about their app because the app doesn't solve any problem. Because there are 1,000,001 apps out there that are actually doing what they need to do. So if you have to do it, you have to do it carefully. You have to do it intentionally. So the inventors are people that want to reinvent the wheels. They want to start from, ground up. And why there is a lot of potential from a revenue standpoint, when you talk about these big companies, Mid Journey, OpenAI, Claude, and all of them. If you want to develop something as big as that, there's a lot of money in it. But then it's also very capital intensive as well. So rather than thinking from a place of being an inventor, because it sounds romantic, forgive my use of word, it sounds very good. It sounds very good. It sounds nice. I invented this. I think the most people that will be profitable in times like this are people that are innovative. And that is the third categories. The innovators, they do not try to invent from scratch. What do? They do not try to train new AI models because there are already tools out there doing that. They thrive with what is already existing. You begin to get your tool stack. What do I need to get to the destination that I need to get to? It doesn't matter what industry you're building in. As a coach, you need AI. As a digital marketer, you need AI. In fact, even if you're even in agriculture self, you can even find an AI solution there too. So you have to start thinking, from my industry, what can I be able to do? The inventors, they are the ones that build the tool, but the innovators, they are the ones that build the wealth. But the unfortunate thing is that the imitators, they are the ones that wondered how everyone got rich, why they were busy trying to keep up. So the inventors, they try to build the tools. The innovators, they are the ones that actually build the wealth because they leverage on existing tools that are already existing. But then the imitators, they are more like, how come everyone is making it when it has to do with this AI thing? And I've been busy with it, but nothing is happening in my life. Nothing is happening. So you have to start being very, very intentional. And I say this because that's why, the AI Leverage Academy, we focus on helping businesses and entrepreneurs recommend AI solutions that would be able to give them speed and give them the leverage to increase their revenue as well. And one of the core visions that I have is to educate a lot of individuals about the opportunities that are within AI, because I've been in that domain. I've been in that domain for a while. And when I say a while, even before the whole advent of this agentic AI, there have been machine learning approaches, to artificial intelligence as well. So AI is something that has been for a very long time. It was just amplified recently. Okay. I really believe that Nigeria and Africa, there's a lot of talent that can be maximized if it is being channeled in the right direction. If it is what's channeled in the right direction. So, and it first starts with the way that you are thinking. The way that you are thinking. So if there's one thing that I would be happy achieving, is to be able to reframe our thought process to start thinking the right thoughts, because that's what is going to position individuals to be able to what? To be able to do great things. Don't be an imitator. I can tell you 70%, 80% of people, they fall under that category. Don't be an imitator. Don't allow the things that is happening to control you, control what is happening. Don't allow the noise that is happening around, don't allow it to pull you. Leverage on good judgment that aligns you to focus properly, to be able to know what to actually participate in. Don't be everywhere. If you're everywhere, you end up being nowhere. If you're everywhere, you end up being nowhere. So, as we come to the end of this, I want to tell us, how many of us know the company that actually powers many of the AI things that we see around us? How many of us know the company that powers that? I want to see in the chat, how many of us know the company that powers many of the AI? Like, if that set of company, they are not available, the AI market is dead. Very good. Joy says Nvidia. That's absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. I guarantee that many of us do not know about Nvidia. Many of us do not know about Nvidia. But that is the secret company that powers. I want us to go and do our research on that company that powers what AI does. Now, the company that I work for currently is also another powerful company that is into data centers, and they power a lot of things that is happening within the AI space. They power a lot of things that is happening within the AI space. So when we see the applause, from companies like, Claude, ChatGPT, OpenAI, Anthropic, and all those other Grok and all those other companies, Microsoft and Google and all of that, and we are super excited about that. This other company, they are on the side. And you know what happened? Nvidia moved from being a company that was in their $1 billion, and recently they became a $1 trillion company. Just imagine a company that all these other companies they are depending on. Just imagine that company. So everything that we see about AI, they need high processing capacity. They need GPUs. They need data centers. They can't function without these things. It's impossible. And these are the companies that power that. These are the companies that power that. Now, what I'm trying to explain to us here is many of the organizations in the West that are really thriving, they apply what is called the dependency principle. They apply what is called the dependency principle. Now, this pattern is not unique to just only artificial intelligence. It is structurally ingrained within every industry. A company like Apple, they don't manufacture their own chip. They depend on other companies to be able to do that. Okay. Amazon too does not ship, most of its own packages. They depend on, companies like UPS, FedEx, and some other, shipping companies to be able to do that. Every empire that you see depends on some other empires to be able to thrive. And one thing I want to tell us is that the loudest companies are not usually the most profitable. The loudest. How is this important to you as an individual? The loudest things that you see within the ecosystem of AI, they are not the most profitable things. The loudest things videos, contents, many other things that you see within the ecosystem. I'm not saying that they don't generate revenue, but they are not the most profitable things. The most profitable things are the boring things. One of the areas that I recommend to many of us to start understanding is the agentic nature of AI. The other thing that I also recommend is to start understanding automations. To start, these are the boring things. These are like the foundation. These are things that are in the back end that you don't see. The loudest things are not the most profitable. The foundation is what holds the building, but the foundation is not visible. But the foundation is a symbol of strength. It doesn't matter how beautiful the building is. If the foundation is not solid, it will collapse. People that are imitators, they are drawn to the loudest things. It is what imparts their thinking. It is what imparts their decisions. It is what imparts everything that they do. And when that happens, they don't pay attention to what? They don't pay attention to the quiet things, the quiet revolution that is transforming the lives of people. That is transforming the lives of people. So, in this era, one of the mistakes that you're going to make is to engage with artificial intelligence the same way that it's going to make you commit the same level of effort as if you were not engaging with it. Then to what end are you using it for? Okay? So I want us to begin to pay attention to certain things. In whatever you are building, what is that quiet thing that is important? What is that quiet thing that is able to transform everything for you? I want you to begin to adopt the principle of the 80-20 rules. That 80% of what you see that are the loudest, they are just noise. 20% are the silent things that actually moves the needle. You need to discover what that 20% means for you and for what you're building. Because it is the 20% that drives the 80%. It is the 20% that drives the 80%. So whatever you're doing, I'm going to give us an assignment. Out of all the AI tools that you have engaged with, I want you to go back and ask yourself certain questions. I believe you have engaged with them for we still have a lot to cover, but I'm not gonna cover all of it today because we've already spent an hour 30 minutes. So I want you to go back and think about a couple of things. And these are assignments. You can feel free to also share, whatever you came up with in the group, in the Leverage Circle group. The group will be open for a while. You can, feel free to maybe sometime tomorrow or so. But I want you to go do this. Out of all the AI tools that you have engaged in, I want you to categorize them into 3 sections. 1, profitability. Did it improve your revenue? 2, speed. Did it make you achieve things faster? 3, did it make you more excellent It's possible for it to help you achieve things faster, but in a quality that people are not interested in. And that's not an advantage, that's a disadvantage. Did it make you more excellent? Did it give the right quality? Let's say if you had spent 6 hours to do that, would the output be better in terms of quality than the outputs that you have currently? I want us to start with that first. There are more deeper questions, but these are foundational questions that I want us to start with. Profitability, maybe you've been using it for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Observe your numbers. Did it change your number? Did it give you speed? Okay, so I want us to go through that. And when we connect next week, we would be able to, we'll be able to talk more and we'll be able to kickstart the conversation from that. Okay, so I don't want to be able to keep us much more than this. We've already spent an hour, 30 minutes. But categorize every AI tools that you've been using, whether it has to do with images, videos, and so on and so forth, and ask yourself these different categories. Did it make whatever you're doing more profitable from a revenue standpoint? Did it increase your speed? And number 3, quality. The quality of your work, was it improved? So this is the assignment that I have for us, and we can have that conversation in the group. Okay, so we have come to the end of the meeting today. We have come to the end of the meeting. I appreciate every one of us that was able to join in, and let's go back and let's reflect over those things. Let's think about those things, and let us make it a point of duty to see that we are taking advantage of what is currently happening now. I would see you all next week. Good night, everyone, and have a lovely rest of your day. There would be music playing, but we have come to the end of tonight's session.
We build it once, let the system keep building. Systems over hustle, step into more. From the grind to a scalable core. We don't chase, we design the flow. AI Leverage Academy, now you know.
Agents working like a digital team, 24/7, building your dream. Content, clients, systems aligned. You're no longer stuck in the time for money bind. Entrepreneurs, yeah, we scale with ease. Professionals charge for results, not fees. Action takers, yeah, this is your lane. We don't just learn, we build and sustain.
Not for the lazy, not for the quick, not for those chasing a magic trick. This is for builders ready to rise, turn their knowledge into enterprise. Systems over hustle, say it loud. We're the builders, we stand out. More proud, from Nigeria to the world, we grow. AI Leverage Academy, let's go. Systems over hustle.
more burnout. Welcome to leverage. Yeah. You've been grinding all night, still the same pay, trading hours for money every single day, but there's a better way. You don't have to struggle, step into the future. Systems over hustle, from pressure to power, from stress to flow. Build it once, let the system grow. AI working while you rest, no cap. Welcome to the leverage map.
You're not the worker anymore. You're the architect for sure. Systems over hustle, we multiply. Turn one move into a lifetime supply. AI on your side, no limits, no ceiling. We build it once, let the system keep yielding. Systems over hustle, step into more. From the grind to a scalable core, we don't chase, we design the flow. AI Leverage Academy, now you know.
Agents working like a digital team, 24/7, building your dream. Content, clients, systems aligned. You're no longer stuck in the time for money bind. Entrepreneurs, yeah, we scale with ease. Professionals charge for results, not fees. Action takers, yeah, this is your lane. We don't just learn, we build and sustain.
Not for the lazy, not for the